Good afternoon and welcome to another fresh episode of Launch Global. And today we'll be looking at some of the things we mistake ourselves and then think that we're actually doing the perfect thing. I am Chung Annamel Joseph, and of course we always have fun here and an avenue for us to always learn new things, and today is not exceptional. Dining with friends and family should be a convivial, fun and enlightening occasion, but to ensure that you feel as confident and comfortable as possible, as well to help others feel at ease and appreciated, you should always endeavor to follow the rules of dining etiquette. Table manners have evolved over centuries to make the practice of eating with others pleasant and sociable. Whether you've been invited to a dinner party or you're going out to eat, brushing up on your table manners is a good way to prepare. Having the table manners can leave a great impression on your fellow guests, and it will help everyone around feel happy and comfortable as they enjoy their meal. There are a few essential manners tips that can help you to understand and navigate the table setting comfortably and confidently. Which utensils to go with what food? How do you hold a fork correctly in your left hand? Whether you put your napkin if you have to leave the table. Today, we will look at some of the things to remember at the dinner table so you can enjoy delicious food and fun time with your friends and family members, which is one thing that we are always not careful of. And I'm like, today, why not? Let's just do something different. Aside just talking about food, you know, sometimes we have to learn the importance of even having people around. In as much as we love to party, we love to have fun with friends and family, there are certain things that we do knowingly and unknowingly sometimes that make people around us or even our guests very uncomfortable. And today will be the day that we identify some of those things and of course get to correct them next time we find ourselves in any event with friends. Before we go into that, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back shortly. Hello and welcome back from the short break. If you're just catching up with us today, I am still Chung Annamel Joseph and this is Launch Global. So just as I said earlier, I'll be looking at some of the etiquette we tend to ignore, and sometimes we're not careful and sometimes we're also not intentional, because these are little things that we are supposed to be intentional about, but just because we just do things anyhow we want, or just because we feel, oh, I'm with the set of people I'm so comfortable with. Remember that sometime, or if you're not there yet, someday you're going to be there, that you get to have dinner with even bigger people, maybe with presidents, maybe with governors, senators, you know, not even maybe in Nigeria, it can be somewhere very important for a project or something you're pursuing and you're just not intentional about it and being nonchalant. But guess what? You have to learn all of this now. So first things first, when you find yourself in any dinner, whether you are alone or you are with your friends or you are in a party, the first thing you should do is you wash your hands before you sit down. Make sure your hands are clean before you dig in. Head to the restroom and give your hands a good scrubbing with soap and water before you sit down. If you're teaching table manners to a kid, this is a good time to tell them how long to wash their hands and how hard to scrub. Some fancier restaurants will even bring you a dish of water to dip your hands in, sometimes even very warm water. You know, warm water is so relaxing, and when you just wash your hands, you know, there are a lot of dirt that we carry. Even when you're coming directly from the bathroom, and then after creaming your body and applying all the things you want to apply, you should always endeavor to wash your hand, even in the comfort of your space. However, this is a usual reserved for fine dining. This is usually reserved for fine dining, but I will say it doesn't have to be fine dining, because sometimes you just go out, maybe go to work, go to the market, and you can just buy something, maybe let's say the finger food, and once you get home you're so hungry and you forget to even wash your hands. You just go in and start eating. When you find yourself in any dinner setting, make sure you try your best to wash your hands before you sit. When you get to the restaurant or the location, wherever you're going, whether it's a house party, whether it's a game night, in as much as there's food involved, the first thing you need to do before you sit on the table is to wash your hands. Don't forget that. Secondly, you have to put your phone on silence. Now, this particular phone issue is a problem to me, like a big problem. Nowadays, you can never hang out with your friends and family and colleagues, or whatever you can call it, without everyone pressing their phone. It's as though like, okay, are we just out to compete who presses phone the longest, or who has a better eye, or what is happening on social media and all of that. We tend to forget that we are there to commune, we are there to relate, we are there to have fun, we're there to enjoy our meal, but we are so into our phones, and that's a very, very bad manners. You on a table eating with friends, you don't even know who you get to see on that table. You don't know whether your helper is on that table. Maybe from that table your life is going to be different. You have to learn to carry yourself and do the right thing. You can't be on a table with people and you're getting so much distracted. No one wants to be interrupted by a ringing phone. So before you head to the table, you have to put your phone on silent or vibrate and stash it away in a pocket or a purse. And that will enable you to avoid the distraction that you get. Because sometimes when your phone rings, maybe you're picking your phone and stepping out or leaving the table to just go take the call. Or maybe it's a business call. One thing about call is you can always return the call. Yes, we have calls that they are very important, I wouldn't say we should ignore those calls when they come, but then when our phone is on silence, yes, we tend to miss those calls. But trust me, you can always call back, because in life, we miss calls and it's okay. But then it depends on how early you tend to return the call. So if you get an important phone call, you can excuse yourself from the table to take it so you don't disturb any other guests. Try to keep your phone off the table while you eat. It can be a distraction to keep it so close to the food. Thirdly, you wait for everyone to be seated. Don't just get invited for a dinner and before everyone is there, the table is not even, in fact, the guest is not even there yet, and you're beginning to eat just because you just came with so much hunger. I remember there are times when you're going for an event and you don't want to eat food for the whole day because you don't want to just be full, and you get there and you don't get to eat exactly what you want. So don't just delve into the dish and start eating just because you're hungry. You have to calm yourself. You have to present yourself in a way and manner that people will rate you well. That's not you forming or trying to behave like you're better than others, but that's the right thing to do. We are human beings. There are certain gestures that you do and someone will be like, I like that attitude. I like this thing about you. So when you find yourself in a dinner setting, breakfast meeting, whatever meeting you find yourself, you have to be as composed as possible. So you wait for everyone to be seated. Then this includes the host too. If you're at a dinner party, let everyone get settled before you touch your place setting. The same goes for a restaurant. Once your party is seated, you can start getting settled. If there isn't assigned seating, give the guest of honor or the host the best seat at the table, usually the seat at the head of the table. Everyone else can sit everywhere they would like to. Always enter and leave the dining chair from its right in a restaurant and at a formal dinner. Before doing so, help the lady, if you're a gentleman and you have to be a gentleman, on your right or left or even both, by pulling her chair back when she starts sitting and push it in. Men in the military enter the chair from left and leave the chair from the right, as formal dinner is considered a parade. And I know that most of us know it, some of us don't know. But then one thing about you being a perfect gentleman, the way some men do call themselves, you know, when you're a perfect gentleman, there's these gestures that you do, and then the young woman sees, I'm like, who is this nice guy, you know? And so that thing is actually really fun for a lady. When a man does that to you, you know, there's this excitement that you get. In fact, even if you don't like the person, you just start liking them in a way. I mean, I know it doesn't have to be an emotional kind of liking, but then you just want to just relate with them. You just want to vibe with them when they are there with you. So at all times, make sure that you have this composure as a lady or as a man when you find yourself in any event, dinner, breakfast, lunch, anything that has to do with food at a table. Next, you place your napkin on your lap. Now, why do you have to place your napkin on your lap? You need to avoid, imagine you're wearing white dress or a white pants or whatever white you're wearing. You know, sometimes the food tends to fall. It's not intentional. That's not you not being, that's you. It's not, okay, yeah, that's not you being not careful. So you can still be careful and then things can happen. You can just still be as composed as possible, and then you can drop food on your body. So that's not being about maybe it's only babies that can do that, or when food drop on your body you are just so childish or you are unkept. That's not true. We're human beings, and sometimes things like this happen. It will catch any food that fall off your fork. Unfold your napkin and gently place it over your entire lap, smoothing it down to its lays flat. You can use your napkin throughout your meal to wipe your hands or your mouth as you need to. The napkin is the very first thing you want to touch when sitting down. If you need to leave the table, put your napkin on the chair, not on the table. It will signal that you're coming back and you aren't finished with your food. Okay, this particular one, you know, I just like it. Now, when you go out, I know that in Nigeria it's like we hardly do that. Just few people do it. I don't know. But then I don't think we really do that. Because sometimes you'll find yourself in a wedding. I'm also guilty of it. You find yourself in a wedding or in any dinner, and then there's a napkin there, and then you're just keeping the napkin. You even carry the napkin and just fling it away. And when you are eating, it will end up touching your dress and you get upset. Now, this napkin is not just for fashion. What you need to do is to lay it flat on your lap. So it prevents your dress or your clothes or whatever it is, that your pants, from getting stained, food stained and all of that during your food. And when you are done eating your food, for the fact that you are not done, you are not leaving the table yet, you can place your napkin on the chair, and that signifies that you are not gone yet. But here, I think even if you leave your napkin on the chair, someone can just carry it and just move it away and come and sit on the chair. And the best thing that works for us is to put our bags there or whatever, or tell your friend, oh, I'm coming back or something. But then that is the right thing to do. Next is you pass all food dishes to the right. If you're serving your own food, keep passing dishes around. Once you've taken enough food, hand the dish off to the person on your right. Try not to reach anyone to get more food, and politely ask them to pass you a dish if you'd like more. If there is bread on the table, cut some off and the loaf and offer the pieces to the person on your left before passing it on. So the right way to pass anything, whether it's money, whether it's food, whether it's drink, you know, sometimes it's so nice when you pass food to someone from the left. It's as though like you're just giving them casually, like you don't even regard them. But the best thing, that's why when you're in a table, when passing your food, it should go through the right. Don't eat until the host eats, because it's not your food. You don't even know what is in the food. You have a guest, someone invited you, you have a host. So you have a host and you are the guest. So when you are there, allow your guest to sit down. You know, there's this way to be like, oh, okay, after eating, like, okay, everyone enjoy and stuff like that. So, you know, that gives you that excitement that, oh, you're welcome. So if there is no host, wait for the guest of honor to start eating. Once they take their first bite, you can go ahead and dig in. Some people also like to say grace or make a toast before a meal, so you may have to wait on that too. If you're having food with your family, wait until the person who made the food starts eating. But sometimes we don't even do that. So let me just move further. Next, you use the utensils from the outside in. Now, the utensils are placed on the table. You pick them and start eating. But then, I know on that one where you're so used to it, the food comes first before you use the utensils. So fine dining may have more than one set of utensils. If you aren't sure which one to use, a good rule of thumb is just to work from the others outside in. As you eat through different courses, you will use different spoons or fork. If you're just a dinner party with friends and family, you probably won't have to worry about multiple sets of utensils. On your left, the utensils from the outside in are the side fork, the dinner fork, and then the dessert fork. On your right, you will have a soup spoon, then a teaspoon, then a dinner knife. Now you use your right with the knife while you use your left with the fork. You use your right with the spoon and you use your left with the fork. You know, you just have to be able to use your cutlery the way you're supposed to. And if you don't feel comfortable, you feel, oh, I can't just do the cutlery thing, I'm not used to it, feel free to use your spoon or your fork to eat. It's a free world, and that is not just the end of life. That doesn't mean you are local or anything. What is convenient for you should be what you do. Don't flare it up. Don't be scared. Don't be nervous. It's okay. It's not. We are all not 100. Nobody's even 100. And you might know this today, and the next thing the other person beside you that feels like, oh, I know what you don't know, might not know what you know. So it's okay for you to be wrong, and it's okay for you to get to correct yourself at any given time. And next is you keep your elbow off the table. So there are people when eating, you know, you just put your elbow on the table and it's so not comfortable. Even when you're eating and your elbow is on the table, you as a person, you don't feel comfortable, but because you are so used to it, you just tend to just eat like that. But when you find yourself in a dinner or a lunch or on a table with people in an event, you shouldn't put your hand on the table because it just occupies so much space, and it might make the person next to you, whether that's on your left or on your right, very, very uncomfortable. So tuck them in by your side while you eat. Put your elbow on the table. Putting your elbows on the table takes up a lot of space and is considered bad manners. If you have any older relatives at the table, they might even call you out on it. If you aren't eating or you're in between courses, it's okay to rest your elbow on the table. The no elbow rule only applies when utensils are in use. So when your plate is there, you know, the plate already will occupy that space. Your fork and knife, that's your cutlery or your utensils, are beside you. So that alone is already taking space. So imagine you still putting your elbow there to take a lot of space that will make it will just make the table uncomfortable. And if the table is not even so good, like for instance, the table is bad or it has fault, maybe the legs are shaky, you know, it might even scatter the table entirely. So at all times when you're eating, try your best to avoid putting your elbows on the table. But when there's nothing on the table is empty, the plates are not there and food is not yet served, you can feel free to relax your elbow. It only applies when there is plates or your eating utensils are there and then the food is served. You know, that is not acceptable at all. Next is eating slowly and with your mouth open, with your mouth closed. You know, this mouth thing is in my head. There are a lot of people who eat like, how will you eat? No, please, no, don't do that. Don't eat like that. That is like, imagine seeing a very beautiful lady or a handsome man eating and keeping their mouth open, and it trust me, people will be watching you and it's genuinely disgusting. Try not to show anyone your food as you chew. If you want to say something, finish what is in your mouth and swallow before speaking up. Eat your food slowly and one bite at a time to avoid wolfing anything down. The same goes for drinking. Try to drink small sip and avoid slurping or splashing your drink. eating food with mouth open is not, in fact, that's the one I dislike, and I'm very sure a lot of people dislike it the most, because other people, imagine the person sitting directly next to you, like facing you. Imagine you're on a dinner for two, or you go out with your friend or your spouse or your boyfriend or your girlfriend, and you're having to eat like that. That will even be a red flag for me as a lady, because I don't see any reason why you eat and you open your mouth, or you eat with sounds, forgetting that it irritates people. Other people are eating, you're not alone there. So you have to be intentional and also look out for other people. You're not the only guest there, you're not the only human being there. When you are in your house, maybe you can, but I feel it's even still bad, because what you do in closed doors, you tend to forget about yourself. So when you find yourself outside, it becomes a part of you, it becomes part of your life, and you're so used to it that you find it very, very hard to correct it. So you have to correct it, and you have to teach your kids, or you have to teach any young person you have, or your younger ones, the right way they are going to compose themselves when they find themselves eating in a table. Last on my list today is for you to learn to take part in the conversation. Now, sometimes we go out for breakfast meetings, for lunch meetings, or for dinner meetings. After our food, or even if you're just invited, let it just be like it's fun. It has nothing to do with conversation, with work, or with business. Maybe just you and friends. You have to learn to converse and relate, because that's where people know you. That's where people know, who is this kind of person? Who is this person? What do you do? How do you even relate? That's the attraction you get from people that you don't know. I know that conversation plays a very, very significant role when you meet people. A dinner party is about more than just food. As you eat, be sure to talk to other guests around you and join in a topic of conversation. Be sure to chew and swallow your food thoroughly before you start talking, and listen attentively to those around you. If you don't know the people sitting next to you, introduce yourself and ask them how they know the host. That should be enough to get a lively conversation going, because one good turn deserves another. When you stretch a friendly hand, except if somebody is not friendly, I know that some people will be friendly to them and they'll be like, who is this? It's okay, but when you stretch a friendly hand, when it's a set of mature people that find themselves there, then there's nobody that will just want to ignore. So when we learn all of this, it makes life so easy for us. It makes any outing you find yourself, any event you find yourself, more convenient and comfortable for you and the people around. So I hope this can help you going forward. When you find yourself outside, you have to learn all of these major things that you should, because we eat every day. Every blessed day we eat. It's like you can't go a whole day without eating, except if you're fasting, like a dry fast, then that's fine. But then aside that, one way or the other, we find ourselves out with different sets of people. So some of these people are people who in life you get to do business with, you get to partner with, you get to support. In fact, you can find your spouse on those kind of settings. So any day, at any time, and anytime you find yourself there, you have to be as composed as possible. Your dining etiquette is the best thing you can give yourself outside, and the first impression matters. Don't forget, first impression is very important. Some people might have good or bad first impression about you, but trust me, you have to make sure that whatever it is you give outside should be good, because having a very good first impression with people is one thing that you should make sure you do all the time. So I'm going to be putting a stop here. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of Launch Global. Hope you've learned something today. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.